The world is drowning in numbers so large they've lost all meaning. Trillions here, trillions there. A global debt spiral feeding on every paycheck, every mortgage payment, every breath of the modern economy. And yet, the average person believes debt is an accident, a flaw, a policy mistake that got out of hand. But what if the truth is far darker? What if debt is not a weakness of the system, but the very weapon that built it? What if empires didn't rise because of productivity or morality, but because they mastered the hidden art of engineered indebtedness, turning nations into clients and citizens into collateral? This is not just history. This is a mirror pointed directly at the world today. The question isn't, how did we end up in this global trap? The real question is, who designed it and why does it keep repeating? To uncover the truth, we must strip away the illusions, the flags, the national anthems, the noble speeches, and look at the machinery humming beneath every empire. It begins with a government desperate for money. Every empire reaches this point, a battlefield. Too large, a treasury to empty. A threat to close, a small group of financiers steps forward. They offer loans generous, timely, essential. But their true gift is something far more powerful. A system where money can be created from nothing and lent at interest to the state itself. This is the birth of the modern central bank. It is presented as a stabilizer, but its true nature is more surgical. It binds the state in permanent debt. The logic is breathtakingly simple. When a government must borrow to survive, it no longer serves the people. It serves the creditor. Debt becomes the hidden constitution, a silent charter of power, more enduring than any law. From this moment forward, the empire is no longer held up by gold, land, or the will of the people. It is held up by confidence, by the illusion that the debt can be repaid, even though everyone knows it never will be. This is the great illusion, the masterpiece of financial engineering, a machine that requires constant expansion, more wars, more colonies, more credit to keep from collapsing. And once the machine works for one empire, it repeats again and again and again. Every empire follows the same hidden cycle, even if they don't realize it. First comes debt expansion, the intoxicating phase, easy credit, booming trade, confidence soaring, an empire on the rise. Then the strain, interest accumulating, spending growing, commitments multiplying. The machine demands more fuel. Next, the crisis, a war, a market crash, a currency shock, anything that forces the state to borrow even more. And when the crisis peaks, the creditors quietly step in, restructuring the debts, dictating new rules, seizing assets, and tightening their grip on the empire's future. Finally comes the consolidation, a new order, shaped not by generals or kings, but by those who hold the paper claims. This is not a conspiracy, it's arithmetic. It is the iron law of a debt-based system. And here is the haunting truth. The world today sits squarely in the phase of strain and crisis. Debt is exploding. Currencies are weakening. Nations once powerful are turning to the same institutions they once controlled, seeking rescue. As the cycle prepares to repeat, the empire you live under is not collapsing randomly. It is following the same trajectory that every empire before it endured. So the real question becomes, if all empires follow this debt cycle, is the next stage already irreversible? The debt cycle is not chaos. It is not mismanagement. It is not a glitch in the software. It is the software, the architecture, the engine. And once an empire enters the later stages, the outcome becomes locked in, not because of fate, but because the mathematics of debt allow no escape. History never repeats perfectly, but its rhythm is unmistakable. The same mechanism that built the British Empire, the same mechanism that empowered the financial institutions of the 20th century, now pulses at the heart of the modern world. And the pattern whispers a warning. When empires can no longer borrow enough to sustain their promises, they must reset the system or be consumed by it. The question that remains is not for historians. It's for you when the next stage of this cycle arrives. Will you recognize the sound of the past echoing into your future? Or will you mistake it for something new? History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Are you listening to the rhyme? If you want more deep investigation stories about financial history, hidden economic patterns, and the forces shaping the future of money, make sure to subscribe to Shadow Financial Historia. Every week, Shadow Financial Historia uncovers a new chapter in the history of money, the unresolved questions behind central banks, and the financial patterns repeating today. Stay informed, stay aware, and follow Shadow Financial Historia so you never miss the next documentary.